Very good afternoon for attendees in Jakarta and very good morning for attendees in the Netherlands, wherever you are. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the third edition of the Week of Indonesia, Netherlands Education and Research, Winter 2022. I hope everyone is doing well wherever you are. In this hybrid event, we will focus on the theme of learning and research collaboration for sustainable green, blue, and digital economies and societies. I am Evie Eliana, and I will be your moderator for this edition of Winter, together with my colleague, Dirk Jan Koch, who is live from Utrecht. Hello, Dirk. Are you there?
Yes, definitely, Evie, and good to
Hi,
see
Dirk.
you again.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very fine, very fine. I'm very excited about the coming 3 days, and the theme sounds very interesting. I had to look for myself a bit, what do they mean with the blue economy and blue societies? But yeah, I should have known, of course, this relates to anything related to water and oceans, and indeed, we cannot do anything without water. I think most of you already know, but this event is brought to you by the Republic of Indonesia, in this case through BRIN, and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, and the Indonesian Young Academy of Sciences, called ALMI, but also, of course, by the Dutch, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And in this case, through the embassy, where you are at, in Jakarta, but also the Royal Academy of Sciences in the Netherlands, we call it KNAW, then the WNO, which stands for Dutch Research Council, and NWO. So it's a large group of organizations working together to make this possible. I think we have really a very nice program. Many different topics, many different sessions, and a lot of opportunities for matchmaking and for networking, and of course, a poster session where students and researchers are presenting their findings. So, Evie, I was wondering, which sessions are you actually looking forward to most?
Oh, I'm looking forward to many sessions, but before I answer your questions, I'm really curious, where are our audience, both in Jakarta and also in the Netherlands and online, are from? So audience, you can participate in our Menti exercise. In this first Menti exercise, we would like to know where you are from. So in your screen, there will be a 6-digit code to enter to menti.com. You can participate once again in menti.com and enter the 6-digit code. So the 6-digit code is 45334286. Audience in Jakarta and also audience in Utrecht, you are welcome to participate to this Menti exercise. So of course, we see Japan. Wow. And then we have, where else? Poland. Thank you very much for tuning in with us. Audience in Indonesia, audience in the Netherlands, and all over the world. Dirk Jan, what about you yourself? Which sessions you're most interested in?
Well, I like personally day 2 the most. It's not because that's the day that I'm not doing anything active, but that's the day that I can listen to many of the researchers and students presenting their research. And this is where the magic happens often, when you put people from across the globe together in the room. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. But today, the 2 sessions we have on climate, I think, are very crucial. And I've never met Dr. Andi Eka Sakya, but I'm really looking forward to that session later this morning or later this afternoon for you over there.
Yeah, I'm very much privileged that I am now joined not only by Pak Andi Eka Sakya, but we also have Pak Andoko here, in addition to the Netherlands ambassador, not to mention the least.
Okay, cool. Hey, but now I would like to know from the audience, so which sessions are you interested in? I think some of you have already maybe signed up for some sessions. So you can go again to menti.com or to the Mentimeter tab in the Hopin platform. And you can, I think it's still on your screen, but if not, you see the 6-digit codes. And you can tell us which session you're most interested in.
Okay. The
So let
six-digit
me
code.
look at the screen.
Yeah. The
Oh,
six-digit code.
codes. Yeah, for
Maybe
those
we should
people
read it?
Yeah, 45334286. So please fill in which session you're looking forward to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some of them have the same interest like I do. Student mobility, education, research collaboration.
And what would you like to know about student mobility? What are you interested in, Evie?
We've got a lot of interest actually. Climate change and then blue energy, hydrogen economy. This is something new, Dirk. I've never, learned about hydrogen economy. Have you?
Yeah, it's the talk of the town in the Netherlands, at least. So we are really trying to make this hydrogen transition, or we think we should make it, but we don't know how to do it or to make it happen fast. So hopefully we can learn about that the coming days. Yeah. Okay, wow. I see that luckily we have a big program because there's many different interests that people have. So that's good. Let's start now with two video messages from actually the people behind this idea of the Winner Conference. And one, and this is the official opening actually, will be done by the head of Indonesia Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN. But first, we're going to move to our ministers. So we have the Dutch Minister of Education, His Excellency Robert Dijkgraaf. And after that, we'll go straight on to the next video from the Indonesian Minister of Education and Culture, Research and Technology, His Excellency Nadiem Makarim. Let's start with the first video by Minister Dijkgraaf.
Dear Minister Makarim, dear Dr. Handoko, esteemed colleagues and participants, welcome everyone to this year's Winner Conference. The next 3 days will revolve around collaboration between our two countries. A bond that's already strong, which I experienced myself last July when I had the great pleasure of visiting Indonesia and meeting with Minister Makarim, Dr. Handoko, as well as many students, researchers and alumni. This was such an enriching experience, also for the many Dutch institutions represented in our mission. A bond that we can deepen even further during this conference, strengthening not only our two countries, but also having an impact on the rest of the world. A world where on a daily basis, a lot of forces tug and pull at us. Some recklessly, others more subtly, more visibly. These soft forces are the ones that we work with, such as education, science and research. Forces that create a real positive change. On an individual level, they gently move us along, lesson after lesson, book after book, study after study. And for our society as a whole, these forces lay the groundwork for a resilient and sustainable future for us all. They contribute to finding ways to solve the challenges we are all facing, such as the pandemic and the green and digital transition. To do that and to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, international cooperation is key. To look with an open view beyond our own borders by putting the bright minds from our institutions together, to let them discuss with each other, inspire each other, and let them exchange ideas, talent and tools. Having these open conversations is extremely important to achieve excellent education and research. From vocational to academic education, from fundamental to applied science. In addressing complex challenges, such as the digital and green transition, we need to share not only our knowledge, but also our skill sets. And the good news, we are already doing this. A great example comes from the G20 climate and energy meetings in Bali, where our two countries signed an agreement to work together to accelerate the energy transition by exchanging our expertise. And by collaborating on innovation solutions, such as Indonesia's first tidal bridge and offshore wind park. It shows how our countries can create real change together. And I'm here to say, let's continue doing that. To listen to each other, to learn from each other, to exchange our knowledge and skills. so we can build a more resilient and sustainable future together, one step at a time. I wish you all an inspiring winner conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Dijkgraaf. And the second video is a message from Minister Makarim.
His Excellency, Minister for Education, Culture and Science of the Netherlands, Mr. Robert Dijkgraaf, Chief of BRIN, Mr. Laksana Trihandoko, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to the third winner following our successful collaboration during the 2021 winner and the G20 Education Working Group. Your Excellency, Mr. Dijkgraaf, it's good to see you again today to have more discussions on the collaborative research for higher education. The history of collaboration between our two nations is one that we must strengthen, celebrate, and expand. That is why I'm so excited by projects like Winner. The event is a vital example of cross-discipline collaboration and cross-national collaboration. We need more events like this. We need more pathways to allow knowledge and experience to be exchanged across more of the world's population. The future can be prosperous, sustainable, and joyful if we bring the diverse talents and full range of humanity to bear on the challenges that face us. Because of this, we at the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology are dedicated to unbundling higher education by blurring the lines between academia, the private sector, and the social sector. I would like to highlight the Matching Fund program of Campus Merdeka, or Emancipated Campus, as our flagship policy in transforming Indonesia's higher education system. As Winner encourages cross-national and cross-discipline collaboration, we are encouraging cross-sectoral collaboration within the country, especially in promoting research collaboration on issues related to sustainable green, blue, and digital economies. The Matching Fund facilitates collaboration between business, industry, and universities. Under this program, research projects that are jointly funded by businesses and universities will have their funding matched by the ministry. This brings the diverse perspectives of the business and education sectors together. Universities benefit from market-based perspectives and greater funding, while the business and industrial sectors benefit from scientific rigor and dedication to experimentation that the scientific community personifies. Since its first release in 2020, there are currently more than 400 research projects that have been funded by businesses with match funds provided by the ministry. Besides initiating a new approach in research funding, the ministry is working collaboratively with BRIN to encourage research on developing the green and blue economies as the national focus, as mandated by our President Joko Widodo. Research and experimentation on the green and blue economies will allow cross-group and cross-institutional collaboration between academics and the public within agriculture, maritime, and forestry. Several projects conducted under the Matching Fund scheme have addressed these priority issues, from the optimization of renewable energy using non-chemical waters to the development of beach ecopreneurs. It is through collaborations like those facilitated by the Matching Fund program and projects like Winner that we can build the practices of collaboration that will allow research-based approaches to be embedded in the business, education, and public sectors to improve the way science is done for the benefit of everyone. Research, just like education, needs to be unbundled from the institutions that have corralled it in the past. During this 3 days event, let's learn about each other's work, share best practices, and identify wider opportunities for collaboration between Indonesia and the Netherlands, with sustainable development as our mutual interest and goal. Thank you for your time.
Excellent. Wow, I was very glad to see both videos. What I could see in the eyes of Minister Dijkgraaf, actually, I'm wondering if you saw the same, Evie, is that I see that he has this passion for this collaboration with Indonesia. I think it really helped that he went there on a visit in July and met everybody. And also good to see Makarim again. And I really see he has this clear vision, you know, of blurring a bit the lines between academia, the social sector, and the business to let all those academics get out of the proverbial ivory tower. I think it's a clear vision and something that we can work on together. How about you, Evie?
I agree totally. So in order to create a better and sustainable future, we cannot work on our own. We need to collaborate across disciplines, across sectors, and across countries. And I think Winner is already part of such endeavor.
Okay, is it correct, Evie, that Dr. Handoko has joined you already over there?
Yes, he is right in front of me. Pak Handoko, I'd like to invite you on the stage to give the opening speech and also to officially open the third edition of Winner. Yeah.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much. So, Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, Pak Lambert, our old colleague, since many years ago. Also, the distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, so very good afternoon. Very good afternoon for some of you in Netherlands, maybe, and very good morning. Very good morning for some of you in the Netherlands, and very good afternoon for all of you in Indonesia, and I don't know, around the world, So, who has joined us in this winner, either virtually and also, or in person at this auditorium of BRIN at our BRIN campus in Gatot Subroto, Jakarta. So first of all, please allow me to extend our warmest welcome to all of the participants, anywhere you are, and also researchers, academicians who are present today in the event of the Week of Indonesia Netherlands Education and Research, or in shortly WINER. So we are here to celebrate the commencement of the third. This is already the third one, yes. The third edition of WINER, which reflects our strong commitment to further collaborate in the field of research, innovation, and education, as already also mentioned by Minister De Graaf and also Minister Mas Nadiem. And it is my sincere hope that this annual event become another momentum to strengthen more and further our two countries' strong and long-term partnerships on science, research, and innovation, and also education. So, ladies and gentlemen, the relationship between both countries, Indonesia and Netherlands, is somehow very, very unique and special. It's not only due to our long historical ties, but also in the context of our shared commitments, as already mentioned by the ministers, based on the shared value to develop a forward-looking partnership, guided by the solid principles of mutual respect and mutual benefits for two nations and people. So in regard to the science, research, innovation, and also education, of course, Netherlands is one of our most prominent partners at time being, and also, I believe, in the future. So, in particular, on July this year, 2022, Minister De Graaf and I, we have signed a letter of intent to strengthen cooperation and in research and innovation between Indonesia and Netherlands. And actually, 2 weeks ago, I also met him at Science and Technology, what we call STS Forum, in Kyoto. So, and we have very, very intensive, private discussion on how to elaborate more our existing cooperation, in particular after the signing of the letter of intent done in Jakarta on July this year. So today, we again witness the continuation of the same spirit and commitment by the convening of this third edition of Winner. I remember very well that the first one was already in this auditorium, right? Yeah, Mila, I think so. Yeah, yeah, that time, many years ago. Yeah, maybe 3 or 2 years, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, right? Yes, yeah. So I'm very happy that we have the third one this time. Yeah, and Winner is an annual event where all of researchers, policymakers, and also societal stakeholders, either from Indonesia and also from Netherlands, could gather together to how we could strengthen our collaboration and research and also in education. So the forum aims to identify mutual priorities, share our best practices, and also make new connections. Yeah, this is very important, how we can utilize this platform to establish, not only to extend our existing network, but also to establish the new ones. So this year of Winner will focus on the theme of learning and research collaboration for sustainable blue, green, and digital economies and societies. So the theme is actually very, very timely, as it is indeed in line with our priorities in the Indonesia G20's presidency this year, namely sustainable energy transition and digital transformation. So, ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished guests, so what we could contribute to our society through research and innovation. So this is important. And research and innovation is actually should play an important role in, realizing all of our goals, either the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, as already mentioned by Minister de Graaf, and also, to help the people to overcome, our common problem, not only in Indonesia and Netherlands, but also all over the world. Because research is somehow the cornerstone of the development, as all of us know very well, and it lays also pathways for innovations which could enable higher productivity, industrial competitiveness, and also prosperity. So right now, we have very important tasks in our hand today, so not only to focus on our own nation building, but also to solve the common problem of our world. So the world today, in particular, we all of us face overlooming problems, so caused by not only the COVID-19 pandemics, but also climate change and the recent ever-growing, what we call as the geopolitical crisis in our world. So these conditions resulted in more concerning problems, such as food crisis because of the fluctuation of the commodities prices, and also energy crisis, biodiversity loss and marine ecosystem restoration, and so on and so forth. So, and all of us in the world we have witnessed how collaboration in the field of science and innovation research could help saving the world from COVID-19 in the last 3 years, 2 or 3 years, through the development, the collaboration of various countermeasures, such as vaccines, of course, therapeutics, and also diagnostics method. So therefore, we should believe that such collaboration will once problems. So therefore, taking this opportunity, I do hope to see that this year edition of Winner may bring meaningful and impactful contribution, as well as to provide any solutions to the current global problems surrounding us. And it is again my sincere hope that the third edition of this winner may become a platform, a forum where ideas and solutions initiated to find the best way in utilizing framework of sustainable blue, green, as well as digital economy. Yeah. And through this edition of winner, I would like to encourage all of you, all of us, yeah, researchers, scientists, educators, and policymakers also, and all academicians to share our best practices on how to implement effectively the green and blue economy to better adapt to the current challenges. So, and I again encourage our researchers from both countries, yeah, Indonesia and Netherlands, to discuss the framework for knowledge exchange to strengthen not only the current cooperations in the field of science innovation, but also to expand it even more, yeah, through mutual beneficial collaborative relationship in the future. So to conclude, as already asked, requested by the siapa tadi, Mbak? Yeah.
Effie, Pak.
Oh, Mbak Effie, yeah, Mbak Effie. Yeah, I wish the third edition of winner, yeah, in this year of 2022 success, and may all of you have a productive, impactful, and fruitful discussion. I thank you, and by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, yeah, I officially declare that the third edition of our winner is open. Thank you very much. So, all of us are the winner. Should be the winner. Oh, langsung.
Very warm up a bit, because soon you'll have the floor. And what I really appreciated about
Thank you very much,
your
Pak Handoko,
intervention,
for the very
Dr.
warm
Handoko,
welcome
is that you
speech.
referred to-
Dirk-Jan, before we open the floor for question and answer for the audience in Jakarta and also audience in Utrecht, do you have any questions for Pak Handoko? I believe you do.
Excellent. Yes, I definitely
We have the privilege
do.
of sitting down here with Pak Handoko. I can ask question later, but
Have you my own
maybe you're
question?
not. Do you have any question, Dirk-Jan?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And first, a big thank you for the warm welcoming words. And indeed, a big change if you compare it to last year is that we now have this MOU, this Memorandum of Understanding, Letter of Intent, which was signed between both governments. And I think that it will really give a push to the scientific research collaboration and learning collaboration. So I'm very excited about that. And of course, we don't sign that such an agreement as a government with all governments across the world. This is really because we share certain values and we see the value of working together, sharing values such as democracy, such as academic freedom. This is really something that we see and that we want to stimulate further in our collaboration with Indonesia. The big question that I have is, after having listened to the intervention, is that the minister Handoko has been to the Netherlands. He has received Minister Dijkgraaf, so he has gotten a bit of a picture of how our academia looks like. And I was wondering if Dr. Handoko has any ideas on how we in the Netherlands could strengthen actually our scientific research. So that would be my question to Dr. Handoko. What can we do better in the Netherlands?
What can we do better, Pak?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Yeah, actually, this is very good questions. Yeah, yeah, good questions mean very tough. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, actually, that is the key. Yeah, that's the key question. How? What is our concrete and strategy to support and to strengthen our collaboration with Netherlands. Yeah. So from our perspective, yeah, from our BRIN's perspective, yeah. So actually we have established, and that is what I always tell to our colleague from Netherlands, that we have established several schemes, yeah, because frankly speaking, Indonesia was lacking of proper support system for our research and innovation ecosystem in the past. Yeah, so that is what we have tried to solve. Yeah, after the establishment of BRIN. Yeah, so we have established two main programs to support global engagement and collaborations. One is the Researchers Mobility Program, consisting of 8 schemes. Yeah? The second one is the Research Grant Program, established, and even to strengthen their existing collaboration with Netherlands partner. For example, through our Researchers Mobility Program, we have what we call as the visiting professorship and also postdoctoral fellowship that are completely open for anyone. Anyone means regardless the citizenship. So that means, if some of you in Netherlands, you already have Indonesian partners or Indonesian researchers, research groups, for example, they have an access to, to invite, some of you to visit and to come and work together with them in Indonesia, yeah, under BRIN's funding, for example, yes, yeah, and if we are talking about the research grant funding, so all of the research grant in Indonesia right now, the governmental, the governmental research grant in Indonesia right now is under management of BRIN. Yeah, either it's coming from the state budget or it's coming from the endowment fund. Yeah. We have still left the funding in Mas Nadim's the ministry. Yeah, that is only some partial funding. Dedicated only for our local universities. Yeah, they are still there. Yeah, but besides that funding, what we call as the POPTN, all of the funding are managed under BRIN. Yeah, so yeah.
So a lot of support at the moment available.
Yes,
not only,
you can find out the information and more detail, through our website. Yeah.
So open BRIN's website.
BRIN.co.id. Yeah. Everything is done online and it's open all the year.
All of
the BRIN scheme is always multi-year scheme. So even we are not allowing you to apply for a single year funding, at least 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the key persons are here also. Yeah. Dr. Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So Indonesia has provided a lot of support. And what do you expect for, our colleagues in the Netherlands to do better?
Yeah, I think they should utilize our schemes, and they should combine all of the existing schemes to strengthen, and even to open a new collaboration with Indonesia. And there is another one important scheme, what we call as the Research Collaboration Center, which should be hosted by one of our local universities, and under up to 7 years contract, and they can involve their overseas partner, for example from Netherlands universities or something like that, and make it as the International Research Collaboration Center, and we will treat the Research Collaboration Center as in the same manner as our regular research centers within BRIN. Yeah, so they have the full access of all our schemes, without any discrimination.
Okay, funding for up to 7 years.
Up to 7 years, yes.
To establish
Yes,
international
yes. But
collaboration
they should
center.
they should be focused in a very specific area of research field. Yeah.
Okay, so a very niche area.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Bapak. Now I'd like to invite the audience in the room in Jakarta. If you have question. Any question?
Someone has.
Oh, yeah. Please state your name and also your affiliation. Please be brief. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Selamat siang. Saya pakai bahasa Indonesia.
Yes, Ibu, please.
Saya dari Universitas Widya Dharma Klaten, Bapak. Saya hanya ingin bertanya sedikit, mengapa sekarang proposal BRIN ini ketuanya harus dari BRIN, ya. Sehingga kami dari universitas ini hanya bisa usul kerangka dan juga ide-ide begitu ya. Karena semuanya sekarang ketuanya harus dari BRIN. Apakah dimungkinkan nanti suatu saat boleh ketuanya di-share untuk seluruh putra-putra bangsa di Indonesia ini. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, I should translate it. Thank you very much. Also, Ibu from Klaten, Central Java, is asking why the research proposal proposed to BRIN has to be led by BRIN staff or BRIN researcher. Bapak, you can
Okay,
take
thank
the
you.
question.
Yeah, so I would like to clarify this. This is very important question, and I have to clarify this one. Yeah, because BRIN, after the integration of all governmental research institution, under our management, BRIN, we have 3 important roles, main roles. Yeah, the first one, we are the policymaker for any SDI activities in this country, and also we are also supporting our ministries and agencies by providing them with policy recommendations. And secondly, this is the second one, and the third one is very important for, I think, very closely related for all of us here. The second one is we are the funding agency. Yeah, as I already mentioned, and the third one, we are also the executing agency. Yeah, so this is quite rare structure, in the world. Yeah, but we do keep, separating our role as executing agency and the funding agency. Yeah, through very specific structure. Yeah, so our funding agency is. Our role as funding agency is conducted by 4 deputies, including we have Professor Agus Haryono here, and as the executing agency, we have 12 research organizations with 85 research centers within them, belonging to them, and they are completely separated. Okay, so back to the question, we have 2 types of funding. The first one is internal funding for our research organization. And the funding, even it is internal funding, we always ask them to open the call for proposal. But since it is internal funding, the proposal should be submitted by the PI, principal investigator of BRIN researchers, of course, because it's internally funding. So I think Bu siapa tadi? Bu siapa lupa saya.
Bu Esti. Bu Esti.
Bu Esti. Bu Esti's question. I think it's about the the open call for internal funding. But on the other hand, we have what we call as the RIIM, Riset dan Inovasi untuk Indonesia Maju. So Research and Innovation for Advanced Indonesia. That is managed by Professor Agus Haryono. That is completely open for anyone. So no matter who the PIs are. Yeah, so yeah, it could come from the universities, even it could come from the industry. Yeah, so you should apply, if you want to be a PI, you should apply for RIIM scheme. Yeah, not the open call. Yeah, open by our research organization. Yeah, of course you can apply for both of them. Yeah, but it has different requirements.
Jadi Ibu tetap apply, mungkin skemanya yang berbeda ya Bu ya.
Ya.
Gitu. Jadi ada skema yang berbeda. Yang tadi Ibu sebutkan mungkin itu untuk internal. Nah sebenarnya ada RIIM ya Pak?
Ya.
Betul.
Ya.
Oke.
They have more budget.
Budgetnya ada Bu.
Much more.
So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Bapak, we have one question actually from audience live in Utrecht.
Oh.
Dirk Jan,
Yes,
can you copy?
excellent.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, please.
And thank you, Dr. Handoko, for your question, for your answer to my question earlier, highlighting just how many programs actually currently exist that would enable even more collaboration between the Netherlands and Indonesia. So I think that's a clear suggestion from you to the audience here in the Netherlands, and look up all those schemes that exist, try to make use of it. Because there's lots of opportunities. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm a professor myself also at the Radboud University, which is the best university in the Netherlands, of course, I have to admit. And I see that there's just much more collaboration ongoing with Indonesia now than 10 years ago. And I hope that 10 years ago it will be even more. And these schemes that you highlighted, I think, are a good suggestion for our people here. So one of the people who stood up from the audience, I did not know her before, but she has introduced herself to me. Her name is Dr. Anissa Trianti. She's from the Utrecht University here, where we are currently. She is a lecturer and a postdoc at the Geosciences Department. And I don't have a clue what her question is going to be. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me in Indonesia?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, so my name is Anissa Trianti. Thank you for the introduction. So I will put my lecture hat now and asking questions mostly about education because we already covered about research. What I noticed since I work as a lecturer at Utrecht University is that there are more and more Indonesian students actually coming and following our programs either in bachelor, master, or PhD. And I think this is a really good sign. And my question is actually along the line of Dirk Jan's question about how we can do better in terms of education, considering that there are a lot of scholarships already available, both from Indonesian side, but also from the Netherlands. Very important, especially when we talk about international development studies, issues about studies about social justice. And I think there's a lot of emphasis already on technological innovation. But I think this is an opportunity in itself to make sure that there are two-way learning experience, not only from Indonesia to the Netherlands, but also in other way around, from the Dutch students to learn from Indonesian students. That's my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ibu. Pak Handoko, would you like to answer?
Yeah, so the question is about the education. I mean the higher education, right?
Higher education, yes indeed.
So talking about the higher education, higher education is always closely related to the research activities, because that is kind of, twin activities, right? So that's why we have also at BRIN, we have what we call as the degree by research program, So, and in particular, if we are talking about scholarship opportunities, actually Indonesian government has established, scholarship opportunities, for our younger generations with quite huge number, managed by, actually it's right now it should be managed by Mas Nadiem. So because Mas Nadiem, me, and also Bu Ani, our Minister of Finance, are the steering board of the LPDP. And right now, made the LPTP to be focused only on the managing the funding, yeah, not managing the program. Okay, so managing the scholarship would be the responsibility of the Mas Nadiem, and managing the program of research will be our responsibility at BRIN. Yeah? And frankly speaking, we are right now we are trying to reduce, the number of scholarship, yeah, to send our younger generation, I mean the governmentally funded scholarship, yeah, to send our younger generation abroad. Yes, because we would like to encourage more our younger generation to take their master and PhD at our local universities, because this is very important to improve the capacity and competencies of our universities on conducting research. Because without PhD students, you can imagine that there would be no research at all, right? Yeah. So, but we do still believe that sending younger generation abroad is very important, to provide them with global perspective, to provide them with hands-on experience and so forth and so on and so forth, right? So that's why instead, through BRIN, we always invite our potential partners, yeah, to consider not, establishing, not just relying on the cooperations based on the students, but we should bring it, more, yeah, at the upper level, to make it based on the early career researchers. Yeah, so that's why we have many schemes to support something like postdoctoral fellowship and something like that. Yeah, so not the students itself. So, for instance, our degree by research program, yeah, why it is managed by BRIN, because the degree by research program is basically based on the research activities. We will allow our students to be enrolled at any partner universities, either local or overseas, yeah? And it does not be need to be enrolled in, based on something like science program. No, it's much simpler. Yeah, just enroll to, for example, University of Leiden. Yeah, but they will conduct their PhD work in Indonesia, yeah, under joint supervision of Leiden professors and Indonesian senior researchers. But we will allow them to make a short visit, namely 1 or 2 years, yeah, at Leiden every year, for example. Right? So that is, the transition of the strategy we are now working on, yeah, and that's why I always invite our potential partners to consider it more, and how to, increase, yeah, how to strengthen the research collaborations by involving the students, yeah, but not the, students with regular, governmentally funded scholarship.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'd like to encourage Ibu to stay tuned to the next session after Keynote, because we will be talking about student mobility between Indonesia and the Netherlands. And there is one representation from Indonesian Embassy who is ready to give a response as well from Utrecht. Jurgen? Over to you.
We have with us here Mr. Setia Budi. He is education and cultural attaché here in the Netherlands, and expert in the domain of anything related to student mobility. We don't have much time, but I think you have something important to add or to ask. So please go ahead.
Thank you, the moderator. So I'm the education attaché in the Hague, so I'm just assigned just 2 months ago. So as an education and culture attaché, during the 2 months my assignment here, I find that there are a lot of Indonesian diaspora who is a professional and also an academician. So I see this as a potential resource to connect Indonesian researchers and the Dutch researchers. So in relation to the Dutch-Indonesia collaboration, I think this is one of the resources that should be utilized in the program. Also, we have quite a lot of Indonesian alumni, Dutch university alumni, Indonesia, who are also everywhere, also in Indonesia. So my question is to Pak Handoko is, do you have any plan to utilize the Indonesian diaspora who
Yang ada di Belanda.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to respond? Short response,
Yes,
please.
yes. Thank you very much. So, yeah, thank you, Pak Atase. Jadi, Pak Atikput ya. Yeah. So, actually, we make BRIN as our national strategy. We make BRIN as the bridging platform for our diaspora, yeah, to make a new or even extend the existing connections with the country. Yeah. And in particular, we recruit and we open 500 positions every year for PhD holders, yeah, and also early younger researchers of Indonesia, wherever you are. Yeah. So this is one of our strategy to, to utilize also our diaspora, yeah, wherever you are, of course, yeah. So.
Thank you so much. I'm afraid we don't have any more time for more discussion. I know it's, it's a very, very engaging discussion. Maybe we should continue this discussion outside this forum. Dirk-Jan, do you want to sum up?
Yes, and indeed, I feel a bit bad for the people who've asked the question online. Please keep on doing it. We'll try to include them as we move along. We didn't have the chance right now. I just one additional reflection that I wanted to share with the audience. It was triggered by Dr. Trianti from the Utrecht University. Sometimes in the Netherlands there's a bit of criticism. Oh, there are so many students from abroad in the Netherlands, and it's not good for our students because they have there's so many students in the class. But I think it has a big advantage, indeed, as you say, that you can really learn from the other students. Especially if they're from Indonesia, you can learn so much. Also intercultural competences. So let's indeed focus on that and see that as an opportunity. I also think, that many more Dutch students, when we talk about student mobility, can go to Indonesia. There's so much to learn on many different aspects. Well, we just have to mention biodiversity. I think in Indonesia, you have so much more biodiversity to study than here in the Netherlands. Just an example. So what I'm taking away, Evie, is that there's huge potential for even more collaboration, even though we are already in the right direction. And indeed, I think, especially with the global challenges that we face now, whether it's climate change or global instability, we really need the best brains working together. So that's for me to take away. How about for you?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is that collaboration is a must. This is inevitable in this globalized world. We cannot work together in order to create sustainable and better future. We need to go hand in hand with each other. And I think we have already started doing that, Pak Handoko, that's right. So once again, thank you very much, Pak Handoko.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak, Bapak. Okay. Terima kasih, Pak. Okay, so we're gliding into the keynote session. In this keynote session, we are privileged to have two prolific scholars, one from Indonesia and the other one is from the Netherlands. We are honored to have the first keynote speech will be delivered by Dr. Diana Suhardiman. She is the director of the Royal Netherlands Institute of Southeast Asian and Caribbean Studies. A prolific researcher herself, her keynote address will dive into the governance of climate change adaptation, what lessons should influence policy. And then the second keynote will be presented live from Jakarta by Dr. Andi Eka Sakya, a senior researcher at the Research Center for Geological Resources. He will tell us more about the governance of climate change adaptation, the Indonesian contribution. So for the first session, Dr. Suhardiman, the screen is yours.
So good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank Bapak Laksana Trihandoko, Head of BRIN, for hosting this hybrid opening of Winner, Mr. Lambert Reins, the Dutch Ambassador to Indonesia, for his presence, and the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas during this year's Winners Conference. So today I will focus my talk on transdisciplinary research and hybrid policy networks for inclusive climate adaptations. Climate change and climate adaptations are high on the global research and policy agenda. Whether we are talking about wetlands, upland forests, irrigated agriculture, or urban metropolis, we are in one way or another affected by climate change and sometimes are forced to find a way to adapt to these changes while relying on available resources and means. So today I would like to link our discussions on climate adaptations with recent efforts to decolonize climate debates. Hence, I will start with asking the questions about adaptation for whom, by whom, and for what. As a first step to decolonize climate debates and climate governance, I would like to highlight the importance of looking at the context, perspectives, and power dynamics shaping and reshaping climate adaptation and climate governance across scales from local to national to global and vice versa, while also recognizing their blurred boundaries. While everyone will be impacted by climate change, it is also important to recognize that each community living in a specific socio-ecological system will also be impacted differently. Our ability to adapt to these changes also vary depending on our socio-economic political background, access to information and resources, and cultural connections with socio-ecological system we are living in and interact with. This highlights that climate adaptation is neither neutral nor apolitical. So the current climate adaptation research and policy landscapes, however, are still very much driven by dominant approaches to climate governance. These approaches represent strong technocratic tendency towards climate modeling, focusing on global and national level climate change scenarios and development, and often followed by formulation of national climate adaptation plans that are set up to meet certain predefined targets. This is not to say that we do not need global or national climate models. On the contrary, we need these models and the different adaptation scenarios that come up with it. The point I would like to make here is that we should treat these models and scenarios more as our starting points of discussions rather than as policy directives per se. Why? Simply because such models could not capture one of the most important elements that matter when we speak about climate governance or any type of governance in that regard. That is the diverse, if not conflicting, views and interests involved in the debates and how these are embedded in existing power structures and the politics shaping climate adaptation policy, measures and practices across scales. So in rethinking our approaches to climate adaptation, I would like to focus on the current central positioning of scientific knowledge in climate debates. There is a general tendency to assume that policies, including climate adaptation policies, should ideally be formulated based on reliable, robust, and solid scientific knowledge. Consequently, efforts to cope with and tackle climate challenges are focused on finding the right scientific measures. So here, scientific knowledge is perceived as being superior to other types of knowledge, such as pranata mangsa or the traditional cropping calendar used quite widely by farmers in irrigated agriculture in Indonesia. As we can see from the figure, pranata mangsa is a seasonal calendar for rice farming and other types of farming. This seasonal calendar indicates when farmers should start with each farming activities, from when they should do land preparations, rice transplanting, harvesting, while relying on natural signs such as the appearance and disappearance of certain insects. Building on very specific local knowledge, pranata mangsa has been applied as farmer strategies not only to optimize their harvest, reduce risk in harvest failure due to potential pest occurrence, but also to ensure healthy ecosystems. Back in the 1990s, or when climate change is not yet widely recognized globally as for now, farmers already were adjusting the cropping calendar as a response to climate variabilities. So, from policy perspective, linking global agreements on climate adaptations with national decision-making bodies and local livelihood options is also something that requires so much more than just scientific knowledge. In practice, however, while climate adaptation and climate debates should ideally serve as the centerpiece of science policy interface, our mainstream dominant approaches to climate adaptation have created what I would call science policy dissonance. This dissonance is often manifested in the formulation of global and national climate change policies that do not capture grassroots perspectives and strategies. Our current focus to treat scientific knowledge as the only means to deal with climate challenges might in fact sideline the real issues at stake faced by actors and institutions on the ground, including local communities that are already coping with climate change and are forced to respond to it while relying on their own means and resources. So if scientific knowledge alone is insufficient to tackle climate challenges, what is our future climate adaptation strategies? So I would like to draw on a few lessons learned. Firstly, policy and governance responses to climate change need to be formulated based on a more nuanced, sophisticated understanding of how various policy actors and stakeholders perceive and experience climate change. Various policy actors and stakeholders could perceive and experience these changes differently depending on their socioeconomic background, political views, access to information, resources, etc. Thus, incorporating these diverse views and perspectives as an integral part of climate change research and policy formulation processes is key to ensure more inclusive and meaningful climate debates. Alternative approaches to climate adaptation started with recognizing the need to move from technocratic top-down approaches in climate adaptation research and policies towards the central positioning of knowledge co-creations as key principles not only in our efforts to tackle climate challenges, but also to decolonize climate debates. So rather than relying solely on scientific knowledge, alternative approaches to climate adaptation would bring to light the potential roles everyone can play in climate adaptation, including through the central positioning of citizen science and participatory research approaches as science policy bridge. So this is Rural Wetlands, a board game that I developed together with Karen Environmental and Social Action Network in Myanmar. The game is developed based on an in-depth field research of how local communities cope with wetlands management amidst the various drivers of change, including climatic change. The way villagers use the wetlands is evolving, following socio-ecological changes that emerge with climate change and the introduction of commercial fish ponds in combination with agricultural intensifications. The game plays out scenarios and dilemmas happening in real life. It positions local communities central in the scenarios development processes. At the same time, local communities also learn from the game about insights and skills that would facilitate future decision-making in their actual wetland settings. From the game co-development, we learned that we should also look at climate change and climate adaptation strategies within the broader context of agrarian change and system transformations, and thus linking climate change with other drivers of change in the overall processes of globalizations. Moreover, the game also shows the importance of understanding scalar connections in climate adaptations. So rather than debating about global, national, local scale emphasis in climate adaptation, we should seek to link grassroots approaches with national and global climate adaptation efforts and vice versa. Rural Wetlands is developed while relying on processes of knowledge co-creations between the researchers, local communities, policymakers, and local authorities. More generally, knowledge co-creation requires the move from disciplinary research to interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research to rise above disciplinary silos to explore uncharted new territories of knowledge creations while relying on collective collaborative research efforts. Knowledge co-creation also brings to light the need to look at climate adaptation as political spaces of engagement. This requires us to think differently about institutions beyond formal and informal, local or global, bottom-up or top-down, but in view of their abilities to create alternative pathways, exercise special influences, and establish interscalar alliances. So this is a picture of Sawin Peace Park in Myanmar, where local communities, indigenous peoples, local authorities and civil society organizations have collaborated to form and establish an alternative institutional platform to preserve their ancestral land, protect the forest and its biodiversities, improve livelihoods and maintain their cultural heritage. Building on this idea of institutions as dynamic, ever-changing and evolving, and placing it within the context of climate adaptations, I would like to conclude with the concept of hybrid climate governance and why I think it could contribute towards more inclusive climate governance. The concept of hybrid climate governance views actors and institutions as closely interconnected and yet quite mobile and unfixed webs of networks and alliances. Here we look at climate governance as a process of network formations that is constantly shaped and reshaped by various actors and stakeholders at multiple, sometimes overlapping governance levels and avenues. From the perspective of knowledge productions, the concept of hybrid governance provides an alternative knowledge network platform where local communities and other key stakeholders co-create and co-learn new knowledges on climate adaptations while building on various forms and types of knowledge constructs. Last but not least, while building on the dynamic aspects and key elements that shape and reshape climate governance, the concept of hybrid governance also brings to light the importance to reflect and rethink and to learn and unlearn. Thank you for your kind attention.
And also Science and Policy Network. And the second keynote speaker is here with us in this room, Dr. Andi Eka Satya, a senior researcher at the Research Center for Geological Researches, or BMKG BRIN. Pa Andi Eka Satya, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bu Evi. His Excellency, Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Indonesia, Honorable Director of Nuffic NESO Indonesia, and deputies and deputy head of BRIN, and also the representative of Young Academic of Science, and then representative from Ministers of Education, Culture, Research and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon here in Indonesia, and good morning to our colleagues there in the Netherlands and also in the world. So it is an honor and a great pleasure for me to be part of the Week of Indonesia Netherlands Education and Research winner today. The main themes of the present year's winner is learning and research collaborations for sustainable blue, green, digital economies and societies. Could someone help me to show the slide? Oh yes, thank you. It was suggested to me to share a glimpse of the Indonesia contributions on the governance of climate change adaptations. Next, to me, climate change adaptations refers to action that reduce the negative impact of climate change while taking advantage of potential new opportunities. Dr. Hadiman just said about the new approach of hybrid climate governance. So the adaptations, it requires a positive adjustment and actions and coordination among actors, even if adaptations is also reactive to changes in climate variability. The involvement of pentahelix, so to speak, pointing to the cooperations among the actors, from the policymakers, researchers, private sector, civil society, including community, and public media. All in all, it manifests the science, policy, practices nexus. Therefore, adaptations activities may be very local and private, coordination between household, coordination organizations, and regions that aim to achieve collective goals. These activities range from flood protections, awareness of potential disease outbreaks, to building an understanding of the effects of climate change at the local level on both crops, yields, and fish catches, etc. As we all know, governance is the creation of institutions, rules, and organizations, and the selection of normative principles to guide problem solving and institutional development. Adaptations governance ensures when state and non-state actors authoritatively and intentionally shape the actions of constitutions toward climate change adaptation as public goal. Adaptation governance of climate change thus involves collective effort of various community actors to address the problems and to reap the benefits associated with the impact of climate change. This reminds me the address of the IPCC chair at the Nobel Laureate High-Level Dialogue in January last year, summarizing the Special Report 15 in 3 simple sentences. Every half degree of additional warming matters. Every year matters. And thus, every choice of activity to reduce the impact matters. Next slide. Yes, thank you. Allow me to start briefly sharing the Indonesia fact based on evidence collected by BMKG, the Agency for Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics, and BNPB, the National Management Agency for Disaster Management. Indonesia has a global atmospheric watch station in Kota Tabang, Bukit Tinggi, which is one of the 30 GOES stations available in the world. The greenhouse gases which are monitored there shows continue to increase, although not exceeding the global average, but affecting various temperature rise at the local area at the average of 0.03 degrees centigrade. This associated with the approximately 0.9 degree centigrade within 30 years. The increasing temperature have an effect in the normal trend of annual rainfall in various regions. The data illustrate that there are differences in wet and dry trend in Indonesia, which confirm the seasonal shift as it can be seen from the captions. In fact, in this case, the poor and disadvantaged communities in low-lying and coastal deltaic plains, including those in small, remote, and outermost islands, remain the most vulnerable group related to hydrometeorological hazard, such as storm surge, flash flood, torrential rains, landslides, sea level rise, and others. Around the equator, especially, those at the peatland area become more and more prone to forest fire. This has resulted in the increasing annual average number of disasters every year, which is not surprisingly dominated by hydrometeorological disasters, something which are undeniably attributed to the rising global temperature that exacerbated by the climate change. In the normal situation, where no extreme disaster occur, this disaster cost an average of 35 trillion rupiah annually, or approximately 0.2% of Indonesia GDP. Next. Facing such a high physical, socio-economic, culture, and geographical diversities, and including the extreme size and scale, difference of the land masses, have all made the configurations of an archipelagic country like Indonesia require locally specific approach in building the risk reduction and resilience governance and thus adaptation. This local specific need is aligned with the unanimously agreed best practices that Indonesia learned so far in building sustainable disaster resilience. First is it must be locally based and inherent. Second, built with strong foundations of equally and accessible data and technology from an active collaboration process that is inclusive. Third, opening access and engagement of all parties, making sure that we are leaving no one behind. Fourth, reassure global resource accessibility, but locally contextualized. And fifth, funded through transparent and accountable financials management that should be also responsive to changes. In that regard, we recognize that the absence of adequate capacity for a multi-hazard early warning system will make it even more devastating. Next, here. Triggered by tsunami in 2004 and a global concern of climate change, Indonesia has established the Tsunami, Extreme Weather and Climate Early Warning System that were officially inaugurated and thus be part of daily 24/7 operations in 2008, 2011 and 2013 respectively. This multi-hazard early warning system is supported by 24/7 and nationwide observation system in land, upper air, and remote sensing. The forecasting results have recently been developed to adopt risk-based warning and impact-based forecasting methodology, manifesting the early warning system and early action, and has been made available digitally and accessible by public through mobile apps, both in Android and iOS-based, till sub-district level. Further, in sectorial development, BMKG as a single authoritative voice for weather and climate forecasting works closely with various government agencies or universities, delivering products that support various sectors. Permit me to mention several examples of products that have routinely become daily operational services in the government institution. Cooperation with the Minister of Agriculture has resulted in the so-called dynamic crop calendar, some activity that has been mentioned by Dr. Diana. At the community level, a climate field school has long been introduced as a vehicle to translate climate into an easy and understandable language for farmers and fisheries as the end users. This manifests an adaptation activity for local climate risk through suitable crop planting for farmers and sea wave height alert for fishermen. This activities has become one of the best practices in capacity development within the with WMO, especially in raising community awareness. Moreover, this activity has also been adopted as a routine training and practices in Southwest Asia Pacific member country through WMA Indonesia Regional Training Center. Collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency delivered information on potential floods, forest fires, and landslide. The Geological Agency periodically publishes monthly potential landslide map throughout Indonesia based on information on range trends. The Ministry of Forestry and Environment and the Peat and Mangrove Management Agency utilize the information on potential forest and peat fires to carry out fire prevention effort. Specifically related to mangroves, a research group at BRIN has recently initiated a nature-based solution by conserving mangroves in Bali and Balikpapan, which got positive response at the community level. An assessment of the use of climate information for insurance has also been carried out to develop climate insurance index through a close collaboration between Indonesia and the Netherlands, particularly KNMI. And the governance, as part, to name a few, the government in Indonesia has promulgated law number 24 in 2007 concerning disaster management. This law laid the basis for disaster management, including risks affected by climate change. Following this law, BNPB and BPBD, this is the central agency for disaster management and local concerning have been established, and its derivative regulation underlie the formations of disaster risk reduction forum, which facilitates various adaptation program collaboratively initiated or undertaken by local society, civil society, business activists, and community, including local champion at the local level. Bapenas manages steps strategically for climate change adaptation through RAN-API or Climate Change Adaptation Action Plan, which serve as a guide for all government agencies and the private sectors in supporting adaptation effort. The Minister of Home Affairs issues a guidance concerning minimum essential service for villages facing the climate change threat through Regulations 101. Minister of Education and Culture, Research and Technology implement the so-called Disaster Safe Education Unit programs through Regulations number 33 issued in 2019, and the Minister of Rural Affairs also outlined the management of village funds for disaster management through their regulations. These regulations have led to support and establishment the following program. Among others, Climate Resilient Village, Ecological Resilience and Adaptive to Climate Change Village, as well as Disaster Resilient Village or DESTANA. Next, as said, the cost of disaster response alone reaches around 35 trillion rupiah annually. It's away 0.2% of the national GDP per year. For all of this, our task at hand is the ability to evaluate, anticipate, and innovate. Climate change will be a defining legacy of the world in the future. Children and grandchildren inherit. Let them also inherit the hope, determinations, and innovative spirit that will see humanity through these challenges and the wisdom and foresight not to repeat the mistakes of our industrial era. Climate change confronts us with all unpleasant developments that no single nation can deal with. To close, let me echo the wish that collaboration such as be put in place through WINNER will shed the seed for better and brighter solutions in the future. Thank you, and I wish you all the best for a productive and inspiring workshop. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite Pak Andi Eka Satya to sit down with me and to take some questions from the audience. The highlights from Pak Andi Eka Satya's talk, I guess, is the same with Ibu Diana Suhardiman, that climate change adaptation should be locally based and should not leave anyone behind, right, Bapak? And it should also be flexible and transparent. What is your takeaway, Tigran?
Well, my first takeaway is when I was listening to Dr. Suhardiman, she made me feel like such a boring scientist because she is making board games for her students and with her students, you know. I've never thought about that. So I think I have to up my game a bit to make sure that I'm just as innovative as she is in her teaching. But aside from the methodologies, what I took away from both presentations actually is that this really bottom-up approach to dealing with climate change is what we need, actually, because of course we have all the big models worldwide and all the big estimations, and they are important, but in the end it's the farmers themselves who know when they are working the field what is already changing, what's happening. And let's tap into that. We need to find ways of tapping into the knowledge that already exists with so many people and bring that out. At least that's what I took away. Everybody who's listening online, feel free to ask questions, to make your first remarks. I was wondering on your end, Evie, is there already a question from you or from the audience over there?
I'm going to give the chance to our audience in the room here. Is there any questions from the audience? Yes, we've got one question, Dirk-Jan. Please.
Go ahead.
Please introduce yourself and then please be brief. Thank you.
Hi, hello. I am Melia Lustojo Putro from Bintang Kecil. Bintang Kecil is a edutainment, multi-platform edutainment who introduce children to its own nation and culture, and especially the beautiful of Indonesia. What I'm asking is, I really agree that this is a very emergency situation, and children should be introduced to this blue and green energy and sustainability as early as possible. Is there any suggestion how we as educators can implement it to our young children? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very important question, Pak Andi. Maybe you have suggestions.
Thank you very much, Bu Melia. Is it?
Melia.
Yes, Melia, yes. Bu Evi, do you remember that we have a song?
Yeah,
yes,
a kid song,
child
right?
song, kid songs. Kunang Kunang.
Yeah.
Do we have Kunang Kunang now? Kunang Kunang, what is in English?
That's Firefly.
Firefly, yes.
We don't have that anymore, no?
When we tell the story to kids about Kunang Kunang, we cannot show them anymore. Because it's
very
getting
sad.
more and more. No, they cannot imagine what's for Kunang Kunang. And again, when we were in the village, we used to listen to the, what do you call it, Tonggeret.
Oh,
Yes. When during the transition periods.
Yeah.
So
when it's almost summer, then there is a
used to
bug,
be, yes,
you know. Yeah.
But now we cannot show them anymore. Yes.
No.
But this is the kind that it happens every day with us, and we can feel it. But now the children and the kids cannot imagine what's actually happened at that times. Even when they have a song, for example, Kunang Kunang, we cannot show them what is Kunang Kunang is, or the flyers is. And this is the most important is actually to tell the children as to how the process is actually happening with us, without we are feeling it's slow but sure, about the climate change.
Yeah. So we need to teach to raise awareness to our students, maybe through songs or to whatever medium that children currently really like playing, for example, Pak Andi.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope that answers your question. Using any medium that children are currently very much in affinity with. Dirk-Jan, what about at your end? Do we have any questions? Dirk-Jan, do you copy?
Switched on? Yes, there we go. Yes, Avi, we have here Peter van der Meer, who is working at Larenstein, which is a University of Applied Sciences. And I've just met him now, so please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I work for Van Hal Larenstein University of Applied Sciences. We are a small green University of Applied Sciences. We have been working in Indonesia for instance, on living labs on sustainable land use. And that's also my question a bit, like what are the possibilities? What possibilities do you see for working in those living labs? It's a relatively new concept, although in the last winter event we already had a session about living labs, and basically that's a constellation where you collaborate with different stakeholder groups from private industries, from universities, from government, from NGOs, and you try to solve kind of wicked, difficult problems, but in a kind of step-by-step way approach. And I think climate change is one of those wicked problems where you could locally work on, for instance, what Jan was saying, working together with farmers, looking for sustainable solutions to, especially also in peat areas where we have been working. So I was wondering, is this approach now becoming also more known and operational in Indonesia? What is your? Could you respond to that? Yeah. Thanks. Maybe it's a bit of an open question, but maybe it's good to respond on it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. This is a very important question. So. Do you think the approach, the living lab approach is something that is doable and becoming more popular in Indonesia?
First is that let me share that Indonesia, if we put Indonesian map into the European map, it covers 24 countries. Yeah. So it means that from the most eastern part to the west part, it's totally different. Just to share with you the situations there in Rio, for example, or in Medan, for example, they have two types of dry seasons. You might not aware of that. Yeah. But then, if you compare with Jakarta, which is totally different. When we have a dry seasons, in Ambon, we have a rainy season. So, it's, if you ask about the living labs, so it means that every area in Indonesia, not only supermarket disaster, but also disaster laboratoriums. Yes, because it's quite a different. Second thing is that now the approach of multi-hazard early warning system has transformed from the technologies approach into the what so-called transforming the last resort to the first. So it means that we have to bring the people as the last resort and the first, and considering how to develop the appropriate and proper multi-hazard early warning system. And as you know that we have more than 350 ethnics in Indonesia, then even you, I mean that even your approach is natural based, but even if that one is still, there is a great problems on the interdisciplinary approach, especially on social, and especially approaching the ethnics, because they have different problems in the different local area, with the different threat of increasing temperature.
True. So living labs have a great potential to be to be applied in Indonesia, especially in addressing climate change, Pak Andi. Right. Thank you very much. Do we have a question online? I should check if we have any question online. So we don't have any question yet, but we still have some time for more question. Anyone in the room still have some questions? No?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Peter.
Thank you very much, Pak Andi. My name is Peter van Touw. I'm with Nuffic NESO here, and I would really like to. Sorry, yeah. Let me put this off. Yeah, this is a bit more sympathetic, probably. I would really like to ask you the question because you had such a lot of interesting data in your presentation. You know, if we talk about climate adaptation, it means adjusting to a new situation with higher temperatures, with different levels of water, different levels of wind, rain, etc. What, in your view, are the three most important things that could be done in Indonesia, and where perhaps also new knowledge is still necessary, where our two countries, because the Netherlands is facing a lot of similar issues in a different context, of course, but we had a drought in the Netherlands this summer, and also in recent years, which is completely new. So where I'm looking for, where do in your view, can the two countries collaborate in research to learn from each other and to help addressing these problems in the context of climate adaptation? Thank you very much.
Okay, so connecting Indonesia and the Netherlands, what are the possibilities?
First, let me appreciate and thanks to the Netherlands, because it helps me when I was still in BMKG in digitalizing all the data. 100 years data that we have has been digitalized based on the help of Netherlands. And this is very important because that leads to how we prepared to develop the apps and mobile apps. We prepared the mobile app. But there is a problem. When the farmers or the end users learn from the apps, still they cannot feel it by themselves in their locations. And therefore, they need help to translate what is actually meant by a certain increase of temperature, increase of rain, potential rain, and why the rain has been shifted at a certain period of times. And that needs approach how to, let me say, a social science approach in terms of the
oh, that's very interesting.
This is the kind, what we actually, not we, but BMKG has started to implement is through the Climate Field School and Climate Fleet School for Fishermen. But this is, you know that Indonesia is very wide. More than 74,000 villages, so the challenge is there. That's the first. Second thing is that with the increasing temperatures, global temperatures, the more and more problems in Indonesia is ocean hazard. And one of the hazard that is started from the ocean phenomena and parameters. And for example, when we talk about tropical cyclones, for example, there is a Saroja and then Flamboyant, the tropical cyclones that has not even before approaching the tropical, the equatorials. And what we need is actually how to develop a kind of early warnings that lead for them underlay actions. Because sometimes people are late to move or to respond to the early warning system. So it means that the facilitations of the scientific things to the practices, because this to the community. This is a big problem. And more than that, what we learned from the Netherlands is the coastal inundations, because you have dike and Indonesia has a lot of problems with coastal inundations, for like in northern part of Java, and therefore our collaboration has not been indeed implemented yet. But this is needed to be implemented in terms of, as you know, that we have more than 50,000 kilometer coastal length distance in Indonesia, and therefore it's indeed quite much needed to anticipate the sea level rise in every area. And the last things that I need is actually waiting so long times is the climate index. This is the climate insurance index. This is a type of the insurance that helps the farmers before they facing the crop failure, for example. But they have been they have given I mean that they have paid by the insurance to recover, to preparing the recovery process before losing the crops, the planting, and the.
So basically, there are a lot of potential still.
Yes, there is still
in
a lot
the area
of
of social sciences, especially because we already have the application, we have the data, but then translating the data into the language that the end users would actually use and understand is also a very big, opportunity for us to collaborate, and also the development of early warning system and also climate index and insurance. Yeah, at least these are the three big areas that we can work on, the ideas. I see that we have one question from Utrecht. Is that correct?
The last question.
Over
yes,
to
thank you, Evie. Last question. The Netherlands is a small country, not big like Indonesia, but we do have representatives from different universities from the east, the west, the center. Now we have Jacqueline Vel, who is from the west of the country, from Leiden University, and she has a question to ask.
Thank you very much. I would like to, I'm from the law faculty in Leiden, and we are doing research a lot at the Van Vollenhoven Institute on Indonesia, and collaborating with our colleagues in various universities over there. This session was about climate governance, and in the course of the conversations, the emphasis is more on climate change adaptation. So my question would be, what kind of research is promoted also in Indonesia, more on the prevention of climate change or on tackling the causes of climate change? And I'm thinking now of what is happening in the Netherlands due to the geopolitical crisis that we're in, which has a lot of effect on the energy situation for the whole country, but also for households. And that is a big boost for energy saving, for example. So I wonder what kind of changes are now happening also in Indonesia, which would move the focus from adapting to the changes of climate change that are already happening to how can we prevent it, and what kind of policy measures or stimulation, regulation from the government we would like to see or hope that it will be happening? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very important question. Pak Andi, over to you.
Can I answer the question?
Oh.
Yeah, because the priority is decided by the BRIN. But let me share that one thing. The national determined contributions by the country is managed by the Minister of Forestry and Bapenas. And they decided what is actually targeted in the coming 40 years from now, related to energy, and especially one thing that Pak Handoko just mentioned during this his opening speech, the signings of the collaboration between Indonesia and the Netherlands is one of the step to materialize the priority that actually taken into the mitigations part. But detail, I cannot.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so actually there are a lot of potentials for collaboration to address this global issue, which have national and local ramifications, yeah, Pak?
Yeah.
And in the area of prevention, we are also doing that, but you know, more information are to come.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much once again, Pak Andi Eka Sakya.
Thank you very much.
Can we give an applause for Pak Andi Eka Sakya? Okay, Dirk-Jan, my biggest takeaway from this session is that Indonesia and the Netherlands should continue work together in addressing and also preventing that climate change to get worse. What about yours? What's your takeaway?
Yeah, indeed. And I think the last questions we had from the audience was really focusing on this prevention side as well. You know, how can we prevent it from making worse? And I see when I looked at her face that she was not totally happy yet with the answer. But the good news is that we do have an extra session. And the session that we're going to have now is a session on new areas of research collaboration between Indonesia and the Netherlands. So at least on this, I think the participants can choose, right? The ones that are online. But for those who are in the room, we're going to focus on this theme, so we can continue the conversation there. And you know what my takeaway is that I just see so many Indonesian scientists doing important work here in the Netherlands, and I know that there's also a couple of the Dutch working with Indonesia. So, you know, I think in the end it's about people and about personal people making the difference and actually working in those different environments and not only staying in your own country but also moving to other countries. So I want to thank all the Indonesian scientists actually who have chosen to stay in this cold and wet small country to really make a difference and collaborate with us. It's really appreciated.
And we really appreciate that, you know, this collaboration will not take place if the other side does not support the collaboration. So the Indonesian side would like to also thank the Netherlands side. Is that right? Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of our keynote session. And we're going to have a 10 minutes break before gliding into our session with researchers and the online session on student mobility. So, you are welcome to have a little bit of coffee and also some cake before joining us with the next session. The moderators will be my colleague Dirk-Jan and my colleague Yessi. Thank you very much.